welcome. You're watching the Tuesday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, the big news coming in right now. India has issued a notam for a big exercise coming up in Rajasthan. We'll get you all the details in a short while from now. The other big details that we are also getting you tonight is how Pakistan army has been completely thinned out. As far as what's really happening in Balochistan, key areas, key checkposts have now been taken under control by the Balochistan Liberation Army. We'll get you full details of it and the big news coming in of an IED explosion that has taken place where Pakistani soldiers have been injured. All this and much more in this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let's take you through the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Pakistan completely loses the grip at its western border. Balochistan Liberation Army rebels launch fresh coordinated attacks on Pakistani forces. Open rebellion in Pakistan after Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Cleric in Islamabad declares revolt against the Pakistan army. Pakistan rebuked at United Nations Security Council over Pahalgam attack. Members reject the false flag narrative, calls the missile tests escalatory.
एक खास सोच के साथ आए थे, एक खास जज्बे के साथ आए थे। हमने डिस्कस करना था इस सारी सूरत हाल को, लेकिन किसको सुनाया? तो इसलिए मैं कम से कम ऐवान से जाना चाहता हूं और इस ऐवान का वजीर हिस्सा नहीं बनना चाहता।
Pakistani politician exposes Pakistan, says the country must take war with India seriously. A strategic silence by the Indian armed forces. And as they say, revenge is best served cold. And that's exactly what's happening. Starting with the breaking news now coming in. India has issued a nota for a fairly large air exercise along the southern section of its border with Pakistan. It is scheduled between 7th and 8th of May. In fact, what we are picking up is that this is going to be conducted by the Indian Air Force. Right now, the coordinates have also been issued. Remember, these are warnings that have been issued so that the airspace can be completely cleared out. Over the last 7 days, there have been at least 2 major exercises that have been carried out. One by the Indian Navy, that's along the Arabian Sea. And as far as this exercise is concerned, remember, this exercise, we are now being told that is being carried out in Rajasthan. It's a 2-day exercise, a fairly large exercise that is going to be carried out. Initial details basically emerging that this could be an integrated air exercise to be carried out, looking into the air defense and a few other issues that would be settled during this particular exercise to be carried out. Multiple air exercises that are now being carried out. In fact, what you see right now are details of the coordinates that have been put out by the Air Force. In fact, let's just take you through some of the details emerging right now with regards to the air exercise. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not a scheduled air exercise. Unlike what we have seen in the past, where remember these would have been a scheduled air exercise, keeping in mind the current situation. All 3 services, starting with the Indian Army, then Indian Navy, and now the Air Force carrying out. First, as far as the Indian Army is concerned, military drills that have already been carried out in Rajasthan. We are being told that a similar sort of exercise is once again scheduled in the coming few days as far as the army is concerned, which is essentially going to use several of the multi-barrel rocket launchers, and as far as cruise missiles are concerned, are also going to be tested by the Indian Army in the next few days itself. That's the other big breaking news now coming in. Let me also tell you what's happening with the Indian Navy. As far as the Indian Navy is concerned, along with the Indian Coast Guard, there is also another exercise that is being carried out. This is along the Arabian Sea. Patrolling has also been increased along the Arabian Sea at this point in time, with offshore patrol vehicles vessels that have been introduced by the Indian Coast Guard along with the Indian Navy to carry out precision attacks. In fact, surface-to-surface air missiles have also been tested by the Indian Navy. Now, the other big news now coming in is with the NOTAM that has been issued a short while back, clearly goes on to indicate that the Indian Air Force has now also carried out another air exercise, is what we are being told right now. These are the details that are emerging right now. In a short while from now, we are also going to get you more details as to what this air exercise is all about. The preliminary information that we have is that the Indian Air Force is going to carry out their exercise. This is followed by the exercise that was carried out by the Indian Navy as well as the Army. The top story tonight on This Is Exclusive. The focus has been on what's happening inside Balochistan and the very fact that the Pakistani army has been completely thinned out. A significant development that has taken place with key areas in Balochistan being taken into consideration by the Balochistan Liberation Army. In fact, checkposts are under their control. We're being told that there is a retaliatory measure that has been taken by the Pakistan Army. The latest details coming in. First, with regards to the breaking news, a deadly IED blast has struck a military convoy in the Gishtari area of Bolan district in Balochistan, killing 6 Pakistani army personnel, including a special operations commander, injuring 5 others. And now the explosion occurred during a routine patrol between Ameer post and Ali Khan base. According to sources, this attack marks a significant escalation in the violence in this particular area, in this province. Now, remember, over the last 4 days, Balochistan Liberation Army has been able to take control of certain checkposts, certain cities, particularly in Kalat. As far as Pakistani army is concerned, the Pakistani army has also been inflicted with several damages. Now, I'm going to take you through some of the details, some of the key areas in Balochistan which has been taken under control. In Balochistan itself, you have the Pakistani army losing control over these very areas. Let's begin with the first few areas that in the last few days, starting from Friday, the first attack that took place was on Friday. Subsequently, on Saturday and Sunday too, we are given to understand, continued till about late last evening, these coordinated assaults have been carried out in a place called Mangochar. What you see here on your screens right now, this strip of the road in Mangochar is basically used by the Pakistani army to ferry their movement of weapons, basically moving towards you have some of the port areas where the weapons are basically being sent. Now that has been blocked. Let's also take you through the other area. This part of the Kalat district, Khazaneh, it's again Pakistani convoy with the weapons that were also stopped. Remember, this was basically being going from Khatari, a place called Khatari, to another area in Khazaneh where the Pakistani convoy with the weapons were actually stopped by the Balochistan Liberation Army. Then let's take you to the third key area. Rahimabad. Rahimabad actually has a key bridge. Now this bridge was destroyed using explosives by the Balochistan Liberation Army. That once again prevents the movement of the Pakistani army. So if you really look at all these areas put together, it basically corners the Pakistani army. The fourth key area that has been taken under control by the Balochistan Liberation Army, and this is the fourth area. This, remember, there is a base of the Pakistani military. Now this, if you can see here, is the Pakistani military base in Kalat, where they carried out a remote controlled explosion targeting the Pakistani army. Now, it's important to point out here that while this may not have been for the first time that these key areas have been taken under control by the Balochistan Liberation Army, but the fact of the matter is that it sends across a very strong message. Now, this is one side of the problem that the Pakistani army basically faces. Let's also take you through what's really happening as far as the Durand line is concerned. In Durand line, a short while back, we've got the information that there has been a mass exodus that has taken place. And that has once again put the Pakistani establishment on the back foot. The reason being the Taliban has issued a fresh statement. Let me take you through the details that's emerging. I'll go across to Republic reporter Hashmat, who is joining us from Kabul right now. Hashmat, thank you very much for joining us from Kabul. You've sent us the first report from the Durand line. And from Durand line, what we saw, there was a mass exodus. How exactly is the Taliban basically responding? Is there some sort of an ultimatum that has been given to the Pakistanis?
Good evening, sir, to you, to all viewers. As you know, the crisis going on India with Pakistan, but the relation of Afghanistan and Pakistan is not hopeful. A few minutes ago, the ex-president Hamid Karzai wrote it on his X account that the Pakistan military didn't name their rockets on Afghan famous personalities. And also, ex-president Karzai said that there is no good behavior with Afghan refugees in Pakistan. Also, in Duriland, I have reported that in these 2 months, 34 बच्चे दुनिया में आया है और बहुत लोग तकलीफ में हर रोज the dozens of refugees are arrested by Pakistan police and they are deporting from Torkham Gate and Duriland. As I have speak with many social activists, journalists, and political persons, they condemn this action of Pakistan, and also I have reported from the Duran line that there is a lot of problems and health department, also another department for the refugees. Also, the thing that in the steel ball that the Duran line and the Kandahar province, there's also not good behavior with the pupil refugees, and also Pakistan police didn't let the pupil with their visa on that gate. And also in Turkham, there's challenges, problems, and there is no good behavior with the refugees, and the refugees in a bad position in the Turkham camp.
But a quick question with regards to the latest statement that has now been put by the Taliban on the Kashmir issue. Clearly, the Taliban has been supporting India's position on this entire issue. Has there been any other development that has taken place? Because I just saw a short while back, there was a statement that was put out by the Taliban. What is it about?
Sir, as I guess, as a journalist and social activist, a lot of Taliban leaders, they supported India. Because of this, the foreign ministry also have press releases that they said they want good economic relation with the Indians, and also they said that the Kashmir issue is a big risk for all countries, and we want good economic relation with the Indians. Also, Afghan Interior Minister and also Foreign Minister and many Afghan Taliban leaders have met Indian diplomats last month. And as I have reported, but it's not confirmed, that here in the Indian embassy, every day the Indian diplomats have good meetings with Taliban leaders. When I go the last days to Durand, I speak with many Taliban commanders, and also that I have get from social media. All of them condemned the Kashmir happening. Also, they want to have good relations with India.
On with us, because I also have Republic Defense Strategy expert joining us, Major Samarpal Tur. Major Tur, you've heard what has essentially happened right now. I'm told that we have lost the line with Major Tur. We'll go back to him in a short while from now. I'm going to just quickly take you through some of the visuals and how both are basically interlinked. The fact that what you're seeing right now on the screens, these are the coordinated assault that has been carried out by the Balochistan Liberation Army. In fact, you have had key defense installations in Balochistan where these attacks have been carried out. putting the Pakistanis completely on the back foot. So much so that the Pakistanis had to call in for additional reinforcements to basically tackle the growing hostility in Balochistan, with the Balochistan Liberation Army being able to send across a very, very strong message. In fact, you've had most of these structures that you see are which have been attacked, local police station that has been attacked. Some of the Pakistani policemen, they have been taken into the custody by the Balochistan Liberation Army. If I can just quickly take you through a shift focus to what's really happening along the Durand line, as we've got another report coming up, and Hashmat is joining us from Kabul. I want to also quickly move on to what's really happening along the Durand line. On your screens right now, it's the AFPAC face-off that's actually taking place 3 kilometers away from the Durand line, where this report has just been filed by Hashmat. In fact, Hashmat has spoken to several of the refugees there. Now, this report that Hashmat has sent us is from Turkham. In Turkham itself, several of these refugees who were asked to leave Pakistan are all camping here. And because of this current situation, the Taliban has basically sent across a message to the Pakistan that they are not going to accept this anymore. And they want the situation to be resolved because the exodus basically continues. In fact, we're given to understand the number of people who have actually come in has also increased. Can I also have Hashmat back joining us live from Kabul right now? Republic, the only network to get you a live presence also from Kabul, because right now Pakistan has been squeezed from all sides. Now the latest coming in from Afghanistan, where Hashmat is reporting. Hashmat, what's the situation like along the Durand line? Because you were reporting from there over the last few days. The latest report that you have sent us today is an indication that the exodus basically continues. More of the refugees are coming in from Pakistan.
हाँ सर, अभी जो मैं मेरा कुछ दोस्त लोग गुजरे में उसके साथ रिलेशन भी और मैंने कॉल किया. आज जो देख रहा है वीडियोस में, अभी हर रोज dozens of Afghan refugees have been arrested by Pakistan police army and they have deported to Afghanistan. Yesterday I have reported that in just 2 or 1 month more than 30 माओं ने अपने बच्चों को जन्म दिया है. लेकिन उधर जो हेल्थ इक्विपमेंट्स वगैरह है उधर वो लोग प्रॉब्लम्स में. और मैंने जब ये रिपोर्ट और ये तस्वीर जो बनाता था तो जो तालिब कमांडर लोग वहां खड़े थे और मैंने कहा कि मैं ये तस्वीर ले रहा हूँ, वो बहुत गुस्से में था. और जो पेशामद था और जिस तरह अफगान मार्जिन को निकाल रहा था, उन्होंने कहा चल एक बार ये रिफ्यूजी निकालने दे, फिर हम देख लेंगे कि हम क्या करेंगे. ये लोग बहुत गुस्से में था, आम लोग बहुत गुस्से में था. उन लोग कह रहे हैं कि उनके पैसे सब कुछ चीजें उनके छोड़कर पाकिस्तान से जबरदस्ती रिपोर्ट किया है. और अभी जो एक और मसला है, जो पाकिस्तान में BLA और TMF और जो पश्तून पठान लीडर्स उधर है, उन्होंने भी ये हरकत को कॉन्डेम किया और अगेंस्ट इंडिया जो वार होने वाला है और हो सके उन्होंने कहा हम किसी वार में हिस्सा नहीं लेंगे.
हशमत, एक आखिरी सवाल मैं करना चाहूंगा आपसे, क्योंकि आपने लगातार तालिबान से भी बात करने की कोशिश की और उन्होंने भी ये कहा कि जिस तरह से इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में सियासत चल रही है इस पूरे मामले को लेकर, वो साफ तरीके से एक तरह उन्होंने अल्टीमेटम दे दिया. इस वक्त पाकिस्तान को एक अल्टीमेटम दिया गया है कि आखिरकार दुरंद वाले मामले को सॉल्व करे और भारत की बात को लेकर भी साफ तरीके से तालिबान ये करे कि इसके पीछे पाकिस्तान का हाथ है.
हाँ सर, यही था. मैं जब गया था कुछ कमांडर्स और सोल्जर थे तो जो वो कमरे के सामने नहीं आता, तो जब मैंने उनसे पूछा कि मैं इधर आया हूँ रिफ्यूजी के हालत में, तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम देख लेंगे, जब ये रिफ्यूजी निकलेंगे तो हम जो भी हमारा बस में हम वही करेंगे. जनरली सब लोग गुस्से में था, आम लोग और तालिब कमांडर लोग जो थे. और जब मैंने देखा तो सब में तो मुझे सिचुएशन अभी भी अच्छा नहीं लगा. और इन माय माइंड हो सकता है जब 1 महीने जो पहले जो क्लैश हुआ था, हो सकता है जो बिहेवियर जो रिफ्यूजी के साथ हो रहा है, हो सकता है तो हम में फिर भी अफगान तालिबान और पाकिस्तान आर्मी के दरमियान क्लैश होंगे.
Thank you very much, Hashmat, for getting us the latest report from Afghanistan. Our continuous focus has been how Pakistan has been completely isolated in a way, and the fact that even Taliban has put the gun on their heads right now. Shifting focus now to a very special segment that we're getting to you tonight is with regards to how exactly, in a world where there is speed, there is precision, which basically defines supremacy, India's BrahMos missile stands as a symbol of unmatched power and purpose. It's born from the Indo-Russian collaboration and rooted in divine legacy. BrahMos, in fact, is not just a missile. It's a modern-day Brahmastra. And it's a supersonic, with its speed that it has, pinpoint accuracy, multi-platform versatility, it reshapes the rules of engagement. In fact, a guardian of strategic deterrence and a tool of surgical precision, BrahMos reinforces India's resolve to lead with control, not chaos. This is more than just a weapon. It's a statement of strength, sovereignty, and cultural pride. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, in this segment that what we are calling now as Know Your Arms and Ammunition, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be proud to know how India is well poised with this cruise missile. We're going to just take you through a snippet of some of the exercises that have been carried out in the last few months and some of the military drills that have been carried out in the last few days itself. And the BrahMos missile has been extensively used by the Indian Army. We are going to show you some of the images that have never been released before this. In fact, for the first time, you're essentially going to see some of those very images of the exercises that have been carried out. First, let's take a look at those very images, because this is for the first time that you're basically looking at some of these drills that have been carried out. Can we first show the videos once again to our viewers, and then I'm going to take you through why this is so very significant and why it strengthens our army like never before. Well, what makes the BrahMos missile so very special? Because of its unmatched precision. In fact, this is one of the few cruise missiles that can actually penetrate some of the most well-known air defense system, and that's the reason why it's called the most lethal cruise missiles that has actually been designed. Remember, there's a lot that has gone into the research and development of the BrahMos. This is a collaboration between India and Russia. But I'm going to just quickly take you through why it has got unmatched precision, and the fact that it can also make certain deviations while even after a target is actually locked. Now let me tell you why this is so very powerful and so very useful for the Indian Army. Because it flies at speeds at up to Mach 3. These are supersonic speed that we are essentially talking about. Let's move to the other. It's extremely hard to intercept due to the high speed, and that's the reason why I've been saying that even the best of air defense sometimes would actually fail if a cruise missile like BrahMos is actually fired. It delivers precision strikes within just a few meters. So if you look at the strategic depth that we are essentially talking about, this goes way ahead. It reduces the enemy reaction time. So once it is fired, once the targets are essentially locked, there is very little time for navigation, for the maneuverability. It reduces, as I just pointed out, the time that you're basically looking at. It can be launched from land, sea and air, and that is the reason why it can be used by any of our tri-services, and the fact that it can be used from any platform. Integrated with the Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets, so that is the reason why, remember, with the Air Force also carrying out this in very of the exercises that they have carried out in the past, they've used this. Deployed on the naval destroyers as well as the submarines, so that makes the platform versatility that this missile actually has got. Ideal for flexible battlefield operations, so it basically helps you to look at long range precision strikes. Its original range was basically limited to 290 kilometers. Now that has also been upgraded over a period of time. There are new variants that have also been brought in, and that, ladies and gentlemen, can actually reach about 800 kilometers. So as far as Pakistan is concerned, remember, many of their cities are well within our range right now with kind of missiles that we have got. April 2025 test hit about 800 kilometer target. So look at what they've been able to achieve in the multiple military drills that have been carried out in the last few months itself. They've been able to capture this. In fact, in November 2025, the test was to enhance the stealth feature. So that is the reason why, even when you have an air defense system, perhaps not very sure as far as the Iron Dome is concerned, but the other air defenses system may not be in a position to actually identify or intercept them. It carries both nuclear as well as conventional warheads. Now that's the payload that I'm essentially talking about. It's suited for strategic as well as tactical missions. Let's take you through the others. It can neutralize high value enemy targets because of the reach that it has. Earlier it was limited. Now it has been enhanced, so you're looking at a target as far as perhaps even Islamabad here. Effective against land and sea threats. These are some of the reasons why this becomes extremely crucial for the Indian Army. It strengthens India's credible minimum deterrence, the very fact that you have a missile of this nature. In fact, there are other countries who have expressed the desire to procure the BrahMos missile from India. It's the strategic impact that it has. Let's move on. Right now, it enables deep strikes inside the hostile territory, as I just pointed out, in terms of the range that it has. It has got a big boost right now with the change that has been brought in. Let's move on. Now this is the last important strategic impact point that I'm also going to just show you right now as far as their technological and defense autonomy is concerned, because right now large part of the manufacturing that we're talking about of this missile actually happens here in India itself, and that is the reason why, as you said, it's a greatly indigenous ammunition that has now been built by India. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow with more exclusive stories, reports, and also our new segment that we've brought in, Know Your Arms and Ammunition.